I'd like to call the regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen meeting for Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019 to order. First order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. Charlie, as is our custom, will you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. Item 3, approved minutes, January 7th, 2019, regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Comments, questions, changes?
Tiny typo
Okay.
in section, where's my highlighted area there? There we go. 6.1, right in the middle of that paragraph, it's Ash Borer, B-O-R-E-R. I mean, they may also be boring, but
Right.
it's a borer.
Also on page 3, we have, we took old business and we moved it up to the top, so did we continue, it stayed as 13? I didn't know what was appropriate there, but just, I don't think we need to change it, because we just reordered it, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Took it
Yeah.
out of order.
yeah, doesn't matter. Inconsequential, right? All right, anything further? Call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. Boy. Item 4, Finance Director, Mary Jane Malvese.
Morning.
Hello.
Good morning. What would you like to bring to our attention?
I guess we'll start with expenses. Follow along on our board pack. So
works.
our reports this month represent 50% of our fiscal year already. It's amazing. Already gone that far. As you can see, last year at this time we were at 50.2 and we're at 50.4 right now, which is spot on for where we should be. Don't really have anything new to report on any of the line items from last month, but if you have any specific questions.
If you had mentioned this before, I'm sorry, but building seems to be up a little bit, 10% over last year. Is it just a timing matter, or is there something going on?
It's timing. We also have a little bit of overtime that we've been paying to catch up on things, so,
Okay.
but mainly just timing issue.
So that's on track to
Yes.
stay
yes.
in line? Okay,
Others?
no.
No, we good? Revenue?
Bottom. Okay. Similar story with revenue. We are a little bit lower than we were last year at this time. Tax collection is slightly lower than where we were last time, but still no issues with coming in at year end. Last year we had a significant amount of early paid taxes. We do again this year, but not as significant as last year. So that's what's making up the difference in that line item. Any questions?
Anything further? No? No. Let me just go back to the building for a minute.
Okay.
The very fact that we're in this building probably is what is responsible for the building number being over. That's contracted services for the elevator. Would that have
No,
driven
that would be
it?
facilities.
Okay. All right. Because contracted services in building is, there's a year-to-date expense of about $14,000. Did we just not move the money? Is it coming out?
Well, that's because contracted services is where we pay.
Well, I'm just saying, we had
I don't-
we had a year-to-date expenditures of $14,000, but we only have an original appropriation of about $4,000. So I'm wondering if we have been paying for that elevator project out of that account and are going to
No,
reimburse it?
contracted services
Okay.
is where we pay,
Recurring
No, the
support services.
the person that was the building inspector before, what's his?
Bill Thody,
Yeah.
that's it.
Uh,
That's right. George Godova.
George Goodovin, I'm sorry, I had a
Phil's-
blank, I was drawing a
Gotcha.
blank on his name. That's where George Good,
Gotcha.
sorry, it's not anything to do with the elevator.
That's right, it's facilities, not part of the
Right.
building anyway. You're good. All right, anything further on financials? Warrants, nothing? Nothing? Medical?
So, as you can see in the medical, this is the wrong one. I'm not sure if this is the right. Doesn't look like
Yeah, it doesn't look
it's,
like December.
I'm sorry, I uploaded the wrong one. December was down to about 800,000 for claims, which is, so we're tracking lower than we had budgeted. As if you remember, we did move items from claims over to admin, so we'll see that each month. So we are still tracking lower than budgeted at this point. So, and you can see our catastrophic claims. I know we were up to about 900,000 in amount of claims covered, tracking very quickly this year. Much quicker than last year, but which is one of the reasons why our premium went up this year, because we had anticipated that.
Okay.
So we're still within our.
All right.
I will get you the corrected health report.
That's fine. Speaking of catastrophic, I actually had a conversation with Mitch about this last week. End of last week, I was at a CCM event, and it became, well, what does it become? I was made aware of a small consortium, municipal consortium that does stop-loss insurance. It's called Connecticut Prime. And I had an opportunity to talk to Matt Gallagher, who I think is the town manager in South Windsor, who started this consortium. At this point, it's only about a 13-town consortium. It's managed through Capital Region, the Capital Region COG, and Mary Glassman. So I've asked Mitch to take a look at it to see if it makes any sense for us to look at it. We had some preliminary feedback from Joe Spurgeon, our consultant, and he seems to think that basically it may not be of advantage to us because of the wraparound services we get through Anthem. In addition, the scope and scale that Anthem has, as opposed to a 13-town consortium, which probably doesn't have a lot of capital reserves built up.
I've reached out to Mary Glassman at your request, and she is sending me some information, so when I have that, I'll be sharing with you about Craig and Connecticut Prime.
Excellent, thank you. Anything further from Mary Jane?
No, I'd like to move the capital
Sure.
to the end of the meeting, so that we can.
For obvious reasons?
We can work to get that uploaded into board pack.
Excellent.
In
Excellent.
time.
All right, anything further? No? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
5, Parks and Rec Director, Rick Maynard, discuss and take possible action on amendment to the contract with Castle Blues Associates for creations of specifications for synthetic turf remediation and construction oversight. For those who may recall or don't recall, we engaged the services of Castle Booze as our expert witnesses in our efforts to determine causation for the problems at the turf field at the high school. And as you're also well aware, we have a mediation settlement that is pending final signature by the 5 contracted parties. Actually, we anticipate that happening shortly. As a condition, not a condition, but as part of that remediation settlement, which will result in no out-of-pocket costs for materials, construction, et cetera, we are going to be engaging Castle Booze to facilitate 2 pieces. One is a scope of work directive to ensure that the work is done according to the conditions outlined in the mediation agreement, and secondly, construction phase services to monitor and manage to make sure that it is being done correctly. This is an investment on our part to protect the fact that we are having this field remediated at no cost to us. Is that fair?
You said it all.
All right.
All in favor?
Yeah. Well,
that's
there are
all.
a couple of things, Rick. This is the second, this is the second amendment, I think, isn't it? Did we extend? I believe it's the second amendment.
We, for Council Moves,
Yeah, we had
I
a
think the
fourth.
original one, we included in it some of the, part of the scope of work was testing, which was
Right.
sort of a second part of it, but it
Right.
was, I think, included in the first one.
Yep.
By the way, John Kennedy's the new chairman of the Fields Committee, Standing Fields Committee. So
My
he's-
condolences. I mean, congratulations, John.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, you said it all, but, the mediation was, with all parties successful, and now we're at the point we're ready to get working on this, and so we're recommending the proposal from Castle Booze Associates, or KBA, was $21,100, for the scope of work directive, as Matt mentioned, and the construction oversight. And so we're just recommending that the field committee and the Parks and Rec Commission would like to go forward with that group, KBA, to do that work for us.
Yeah. And that is a not-to-exceed number, as
Yeah.
per their proposal. And it's my understanding that we have some surplus funds from the previous,
We do.
which would be expended prior to the full 21,000 that is being allocated here.
I
From
don't
the previous
remember, was Castle Booze involved in the original construction?
No. No, they were our representative. We brought in an independent
Yeah,
party.
I knew for the remediation part, I didn't know if they were involved at all in the
The
original.
design, no.
We had a lot of good experience with them in the high school project. They did some work for us in the high school project, the new high school, not Fields.
That almost makes me worried when you, yeah.
And Matt, you said there was some money left over from where?
From the original contract, as this is an amendment to the.
Oh, the original Castle Booze contract. So in other
About
words, the contract
3,000.
for the litigation process.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's around 3,000 left over, roughly, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything further?
No, I think we're good.
All right, is there a motion to approve the amendment to the contract for Castle Booze in the amount and not to exceed $21,000?
21,100.
100, that's right.
All right. Yeah, I'll make
Yep,
that motion.
21 million.
Second.
Anything further? Call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. Thank you
Congrats,
very
John.
much.
Good to see
And
you.
John, thank you for your continued work.
Thank you.
You've been on that committee for how many years?
Two less than Paul, since 1998.
And you're gonna go past Paul's record?
Well, we gotta get rid of Paul entirely first. He's too good of a man to let go. He's got a lot of background in engineering that helps us out quite a bit,
I agree.
quite a bit.
But thank you very much for your service and
You're welcome.
and your stepping up to the chair.
Well, the way it happened is that whoever is in favor stepped forward. Everybody stepped backwards. He didn't get the memo, and he was standing.
Too slow. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thanks.
Item 6, Fire Department, Assistant Chief Shove and Captain Haverkamp. Mike and Cliff, how are you? Good morning. We've got 2 items today. One is to consider and take possible action on the purchase of an exhaust recovery system. And I think we had some preliminary discussions about this at one point, didn't we?
Right, so that's, the exhaust recovery system is also grant funded.
Right.
Which the agenda doesn't speak to, but, so
Right.
you'd approved the grant at a previous meeting.
Right.
And now we're just asking to approve to award the project to Air Cleaning Specialists of New England, which, they're a sole source vendor in this area for Plymovent Systems, which is a brand of exhaust recovery,
Right.
which we currently use at fire headquarters.
Okay.
So it's important for the two to be similar, because when we swap vehicles, their system for attaching to the vehicle is proprietary. So if we need to move ambulances from headquarters to Station 4, that would be doable. It would be one service contract instead of 2. Spare parts would be the same.
Good. And just for those in the audience, this is for the indoor exhaust removal system, because you.
Right, so diesel exhaust, chronic exposure to diesel exhaust is carcinogenic to our employees. So now that we're staffing that station 24/7, the living quarters are above the garage, so it's important to be able to evacuate that when the vehicles start.
Got it. Good. Anything? Any further questions? No?
Makes sense.
And, all right, call the question on the expenditure from the grant proceeds of $39,400. Is there a motion?
Make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. All right, item 6.2, discuss and take possible action on the purchase and installation of a marine electronic system as a result of a grant. Gonna let the Coast Guard guy handle this one, or what?
So this is, same thing, this is another grant talked about the last meeting, where we sat in front of everyone, the Port Security Grant, 2018 Port Security Grant. We're looking to go with L&L Electronics Equipment. And this is GSA priced, and it's the same system that the Coast Guard's going with. So we'll be in line with our port partners so everybody can communicate.
Good. All right, any other questions? Just for those in the viewing audience, the marine capacity that we have, we're a shared resource for other communities.
We are. We all our resources in terms of mutual aid and
Mutual
stuff
aid,
like that. We are one of our boat is in the water 24/7, so it's another one that's in year round. There's only a handful of shoreline towns that keep stuff in year round, and this part of this grant was we applied for this last year because the Coast Guard electronics packages are changing. So it was another. They favor keeping things standardized and equipment working together. So that was another thing that kept us in line with, basically, when any one of the towns goes out for a search in Long Island Sound, it enhances the ability to communicate. They could basically see what we're doing. If we're asked to do search patterns, they can watch us on the big screen down at Sector Long Island Sound and task us as part of a search operation. So it's pretty neat stuff.
Excellent. All right. Anything further? All right, is there a motion to approve the expenditure of the grant funds in the amount of $11,504 to L&L Electronics Equipment?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second.
There being no further discussion, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Use it well.
Thank you.
Item 7, request for use of town property. Act on a request from the Parks and Recreation Department to use the green April 6, 2019, with a rain date of April 13th for its extravaganza, July 13th for its community
He would have
picnic.
appreciated that.
July 13th for its community picnic and concert, and July 7th, the 28th, August 11th, August 18th, and August 25th, 2019 for its summer concerts. Is there a motion?
Sure, make that motion.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. 7.2.
I really like their cleanup plans. Will do.
That's right. We will do it. Actually, we'll be hearing a little bit more about some of their cleanup plans over the next day or two, right? Okay, 7.2, excuse me. Act on a request from the Leeds Island Garden Club to use the green and to place a sign on the green advertising its annual plant sale taking place May 11th, 2019, with a rain date of May 12th. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, recusals, hearing none, motion carries.
Did we have two on Park and Rec, Actually, is there community picnic also?
It was all three of them. I read
So-
it as all three.
Oh, we did?
Yeah,
Okay, okay, great.
yeah, I read it.
So the concert was
Yeah.
included in that
Yeah,
last
I read,
motion?
yeah, all three as a motion.
Okay, thanks.
Good catch, though. 7.3, act on a request from the Shoreline Chamber of Commerce to use the green and to place a sign on the green advertising its Chowder Challenge taking place October 12th, 2019. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. 7.4, act on a request from Guilford Rowing to place a sign on the green advertising its gala taking place March 1st, 2019. Is there a motion?
I'd make the motion.
And a second?
Second.
Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. 7.5, act on request from the soccer club of Guilford to place on the sign advertising its registration, sign placement to February 1 through February 15th. Is there a motion?
Make the mo, yep.
And a second?
Yep.
Second.
Call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion
Good
carries.
sign that spring is on the way.
Yeah, I like those.
Yes.
Very encouraging.
Yes. Item 8, building officials report. Any comments or questions? No, hearing none. Public Works monthly report? Same?
No,
Okay.
it's great, it's really appreciated.
9, committee reports. Lou?
We're meeting tomorrow afternoon
Yes,
with
we
staff. Thank you for helping facilitate that. And so this is, again, for the building official, building permit
Permits, right.
adjustments that we're proposing.
All right, and it's probably going to be unlikely that we'll have anything that would be able to utilize for revenue projections for 2019, 2020. But in any event, I think the expectation is that the fees will result in increased revenues as opposed to a decrease. So it would be what may be known as found money. Item 10, old business. Anybody have anything? No? 11, new business. Anything? Item 12, public forum. Okay, we had an item on here just for review of the capital plan stuff. And it obviously has not made it onto board pack. So why don't we, we'll table that for further discussion.
Hold on.
Oh.
Just a second.
We'll be,
We're going to be meeting over the next couple of days on,
we could always touch on it during the
Wednesday.
department heads
yeah.
presentations.
It's on, you just have to log out and log back in.
Yeah. Well, I don't think any of us had a chance to really take a look at it. It would be,
Okay.
Don't worry.
You're okay? Timing-wise?
Yeah, I was just trying to avoid another meeting, that's all.
well, I think we're probably going to need, it will wrap it into a budget meeting.
Okay.
Because we're gonna be meeting together to talk about our final
We're
budget.
gonna be at a meeting, we can add it to the agenda
Right.
ahead of time.
Yeah.
Or at least Thursday we have time.
It's amazing.
Is it that?
Yeah, just this board pack is great, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
Kudos to IT.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so we'll just take it up with one of our budget meetings where we're deciding what we're going to move forward to the Board of Finance. So, all right.
Yeah, there's a lot here to try and adjust on the fly.
Fine, exactly. All right, in that case, what's that? You want to explain it?
Give us a.
Yeah, come on,
Why don't
let's
we
let's
do
do it.
that?
We'll
Yeah.
take,
What the highlights are?
we'll take
We
advantage
don't
of
have to
it.
actually log out, I think,
What's
just
that?
go, we don't have to actually log out, just go to a different meeting and then go back.
Go
into
back
the
to
meeting.
it?
Yeah, and it
Okay.
pops in. Then you have to load it, but.
And it's before 9 o'clock. So we've got a couple of minutes. Although,
I'll just go through all the suggested changes, and
That's
then
fine.
at least you can
Are they in
have
red?
something to, yeah, so suggested changes are in red, or actually, additions and changes and things we've done are, some are in red. What happened was, as we were going through the operating budgets, sometimes we found a couple things that really should have been operating, so we've made some adjustments. So I'll just go through those, and then at least you'll know where we're headed. The first is the energy performance contract lease payment. This is our portion of the energy controls project for all of the buildings. We have put it here in capital so that we are aware that we need to make this payment year over year. Whether we keep it in capital and do something with, move it somewhere else is moot at the moment, but we want to make sure that the dollars are there. So this is the town's portion of the entire lease payment, less the subsidy that we're receiving from Eversource.
So you must have a lot of information on this in order to be able to put the total in here. Is
Correct,
this
we have
something
we have an
can-
entire amortization spreadsheet. I can tell you every payment for, over the 20 years, so.
But in terms of the projects, the savings, the whole.
Well, the savings will show up in
Yeah.
reduced
Less
energy consumption
costs.
costs. And those are, the way we budget, those are spread across every department.
Yep.
And we have an idea that it's going to exceed this number, but how do we identify by building what those savings are going to be until such time as we actually see year-over-year consumption against those numbers. So we didn't have a spot to definitively offset this, so that's why we have identified it as an expenditure.
Correct, because
I understand.
we want to just make sure it's there. I mean, other than, putting some of it in every budget just didn't seem feasible, but so we can discuss where, the board would like to see it
right.
land when we're done. But at the moment, I put in capital. It would have been capital expenditures
Right.
that we had done, would have done and paid for in order for these savings.
And
So it kind of fits there, but it doesn't have to be its final resting place.
We also talked about the possibility of adding it to the debt service line, because
Right,
there is a
debt.
20-year
That makes more
amortization
sense to
schedule.
me.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
Yep.
that may be where it winds up.
Yeah,
eventually.
that was
more
my
logical.
first thought, to put it with debt, but we wanted to make sure we
Get it somewhere.
put it here so we at least discuss it and know that it's there and know that we'll see that for the next few years.
Okay, great.
The next item is the alarm system for communications. We've identified another funding source for that from a capital project for a similar item in communication that we have money left over in that bond. So. Let's see, Bear House Hill Road Bridge Masonry. I'm not sure why that one. I think that's a new item there. Bear House Hill Road is a new item, although it doesn't affect the current year. Under engineering, Goose Lane Survey, environmental is $75,000. We may have potential savings in this year's budget to cover that, correct? So as we move forward through the budget process, we may have funds for that somewhere else, which is why it's in blue. It's possible. So the next item, you'll see a lot of items that are in bonding. What we did was we moved all of our equipment and vehicle purchases over $100,000 into a potential bond issue for 2 years. As a way to smooth out the cost of capital for this year and next year, so that the ambulance remount is one. The next item is the replacement of pickup truck. We were told that could be moved to the following year, so we did so. We've moved that. The replacement of the bus was just a possible, was a question as to what was the timing of when you wanted to do that project. So it's just a maybe. The next generation firewall services was an item that was in operating that we moved into capital in the information systems line item. And you'll see the microfilm of the land use documents. If you remember when Kevin came to speak on that, he brought it forward for the land use offices, but it really belonged in information systems, so we just moved it from natural resources up there. The next item is edit and recodification of the zoning and subdivision codes. This is a $65,000 contracted project that came to us in the operating budget that we, again, moved this into capital. It was a one-time contracted service to do. It really didn't belong in operating, and it really skewed that line item as well for natural resources. The water quality recontrol at Lake Quanapog, there's a possibility of the Choate contribution bringing that $20,000 down to the $17,500 that we have this year. So that's a possible reduction.
One of the questions I have related to that, we'll talk to Kevin, is we have not expended a significant amount of the allocation that we had for this year, right? So would we continue to carry that in force? We have an opportunity to do something there, I think. Right?
Yeah, we do have an open purchase order for last year's work that wasn't done because, without getting into the weeds, no pun intended or pun intended, Kevin had discussed that there was some issue of a particular type of invasive weed that they're having Greg Bugby try to find. So we're still trying to figure out whether or not they can go in and do this project because of this one particular plant. So we've had to hold that off. So that purchase order from last year is still in force, but has not been taken care of. So, but that's a good question. If we have that money for this year, possibly we can hold off one more year. It's a good question. The engineering services for rebuilding the Adams tennis courts and pickleball court constructions, when Rick was here presenting his budget, he said that was possibly could be paid from the program fees. So at the moment, we've taken that out because of that reason. The next item is, the next couple items are items that we've moved for bonding. The wash bay construction was in twice, so we've removed one of those duplicates. You'll see that under Public Works. It's now 0 across that line. Engineering had it, and so did Public Works. A couple more bond items in Public Works, and a new item, another 10-wheel dump truck in Public Works, but the money not requested for a couple of years, so it doesn't affect where we are today. And under Town Properties, the air conditioning upgrade, we're going to pay for that from the bonding item that we have specifically for energy upgrades, that we have money in there, so we're going to pay for that out of that. And the parking lot repave, he said could be held off another year, so we move that forward. And the same thing with the carpet replacement at Youth and Family Services. So bottom line, with all of this, I'm still at 1.162 million in capital, which might be higher than you're looking to approve, so you can look at that. But it does put 3.5 million into a bonding package, but that covers 2 years.
All right.
You say 1.16, but then you have the 3 subtractions, really.
Well, those are, right, those are possible, the 3 possible changes I talked to. So if we were to find the funding for those.
A little closer to
yeah, it's 1.07, so yes.
We were at, what, 850 last year?
Yeah, 859.
859. But it had been up around a million. We had been at that million threshold for a number of years, I think, or a couple of years anyway.
Right, I tried to whittle it down to somewhere around $1 million, at least just with items that we knew we could change or move from somewhere else, without making any actual cuts. So, if there are some cuts or other changes, we can certainly discuss those. But that's where we stand right now.
Good.
And we can certainly add this item, for further review, but I'd just like to
Yep.
talk to you about the things that we've done, at least, so when you're looking at that, you'll have an idea of what the new spreadsheet represents.
Good. All right. Thank you, Mary.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you for insisting we do something. All right. Anything further? Nothing left. We've had public forum. There's no one to address us in public forum. Unless Bob wants. I'm sorry, Bob.
No.
No?
Good to go.
Good to go? Good to go. All right. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
That's our fastest.